I never planned to hide my success from the world. Life simply turned out that way.
I grew up in a small apartment in Singapore, where my parents worked tirelessly every day to give me a better future. My father drove a taxi late into the night, often coming home exhausted but still smiling. My mother worked 2 jobs and rarely took a day off. Even though money was tight, they never complained. They always reminded me that education was the greatest gift anyone could have. Knowledge is the one thing nobody can ever steal from you, my father used to say whenever I felt tired or discouraged.
Their sacrifices pushed me to work harder. I spent years studying while my friends went out enjoying life.
Every late-night study session and every missed celebration eventually paid off. I graduated at the top of my class in finance and was quickly hired by one of Asia's biggest banks. By the age of 28, I became the youngest division head in the company's history, managing corporate loans worth more than $50 billion. But outside the office, almost nobody knew about my success. On weekends, I worked at a small cafe owned by one of my closest friends. I loved the peaceful atmosphere, the smell of fresh coffee, and the chance to live a simple life away from expensive suits and boardroom meetings. The cafe reminded me where I came from and kept me humble.
That was where I met James.
One rainy Saturday morning, he walked into the cafe wearing a soaked jacket and carrying a stack of architectural drawings under his arm. He ordered a latte, and before handing it to him, I drew a small heart in the foam. "This is the best coffee I've had in months," he said with a warm smile. "The secret ingredient is care," I replied jokingly. He laughed, and from that moment, something felt different. After that day, James returned every weekend. Sometimes he stayed for hours, talking with me while I cleaned tables or prepared coffee orders. He told me about his work as an architect and his dream of designing affordable, environmentally friendly buildings. He spoke passionately about helping communities instead of simply making money. I admired how genuine he was. What touched me most was the way he treated people. He respected everyone equally, whether they were wealthy businessmen or delivery drivers. When he talked to me, he didn't see bank accounts, job titles, or social status.
He simply saw me.
Eventually, he asked me out on a date.
I said yes immediately.
Our first date was nothing fancy. We went to a busy hawker center, shared plates of char kway teow, and laughed over silly stories from childhood. Yet it felt more meaningful than any luxury dinner I had ever attended. I fell in love with his kindness, honesty, and quiet confidence. A few months later, James warned me about his family. "They are a little traditional," he said carefully. "They care too much about reputation and social status."
I smiled confidently. "Don't worry, I can handle difficult people." But I had no idea what I was walking into.
James's father, Richard Chin, was a famous real estate tycoon who built a massive business empire from nothing. He was loud, intimidating, and loved controlling every conversation. His wife, Helen, was elegant but cold, always dressed perfectly and speaking with sharp politeness that hid her insults. James's younger sister, Victoria, was even worse. She judged people instantly based on appearance, wealth, and connections. The moment they learned I worked at a cafe, their attitude toward me changed completely. "A cafe?" Richard asked loudly during dinner, looking almost offended. "James, I thought you said she went to university."
"She did," James replied.
"Emily studied finance." "Clearly not very successfully," Richard interrupted. "A talented person wouldn't waste time serving coffee."
The table went silent.
Helen slowly adjusted her pearl necklace before speaking in a sweet but insulting tone.
"Perhaps we could help Emily find more suitable work.
The cleaning company we hire is always looking for staff."
Victoria laughed quietly.
"At least she'd get health insurance." James looked furious, but before he could respond, I calmly smiled. "I actually enjoy my work," I said politely. "But thank you for your concern." Years of negotiating billion-dollar deals had taught me how to stay calm under pressure, but inside, their words still hurt. Unfortunately, things only became worse over time. At every family event, Richard found new ways to embarrass me. Helen treated me like I didn't belong in the same room as their wealthy friends. Victoria constantly suggested James should date someone more suitable. Sometimes she openly introduced me as the cafe girl. James always defended me, but his family never changed. When James proposed to me, Richard exploded with anger. "Have you completely lost your mind?" he shouted. "You're throwing away your future for a waitress." "I love her," James answered firmly. "Love doesn't protect a family's reputation," Richard snapped back. "If you marry her, don't expect my support."
Despite everything, James chose me.
We had a small but beautiful wedding attended only by close friends and my parents.
His family refused to come.
After we got married, life settled into a peaceful routine. During the week, I managed billion-dollar financial deals in glass skyscrapers. On weekends, I still worked quietly at the cafe because it made me happy.
James respected my decision to keep my real career private.
He understood that I wanted to be loved for who I truly was, not because of my money or position. Months later, James convinced me to attend his family's annual reunion.
They are still my family, he said softly.
Maybe things will finally improve. I wanted to believe him. The reunion was held at Richard's enormous mansion, filled with luxury cars, expensive decorations, and guests dressed in designer clothing. The moment we entered, I felt dozens of judgmental eyes staring at me. "Well, look who's here," Victoria announced loudly from across the garden. "The cafe girl still hasn't found a real job."
Several people laughed quietly.
I ignored the comment and stayed close to James. But deep down, I knew this evening would not end peacefully. As the night continued, Richard gathered everyone together for his annual family speech. Champagne glasses sparkled under the garden lights while wealthy guests listened carefully to every word he said. And then, in front of everyone, Richard decided to humiliate me one final time. Richard continued his speech proudly, bragging about the family's success and wealth as guests listened carefully with champagne glasses in their hands. "Our family has built one of the strongest business empires in Singapore," he announced confidently. "Everything we own came from hard work, intelligence, and ambition." Then his eyes landed on James and me. "Ah, James," he said loudly, "come tell everyone about your new architecture project."
For a brief moment, I thought he might finally include me politely.
Instead, his lips curled into a mocking smile. "And your wife can help serve drinks," he added. "That seems to be the only thing she's qualified for."
Laughter spread through the crowd.
I noticed several guests whispering while others avoided eye contact, clearly uncomfortable. James immediately stepped forward, anger flashing across his face. "Dad, enough." But before he could finish, chaos suddenly erupted near the entrance of the mansion. Richard's personal secretary rushed outside, her face pale and filled with panic.
"Mr. Chen," she shouted breathlessly.
"There's an urgent call from the bank." Richard frowned in annoyance.
"Not now.
We're in the middle of a celebration." "Sir, it's about the emergency loans," she said nervously. "They've been denied." The smile disappeared from Richard's face instantly.
"What?" he snapped. "That's impossible. I spoke to the division head yesterday."
"The new CEO is personally reviewing all major accounts," the secretary explained. "They are demanding a private meeting tomorrow morning." At that exact moment, my phone vibrated in my handbag. I glanced at the screen and saw my secretary's name. I already knew what the call was about. For the past week, Richard's company had been under investigation by my banking division after several suspicious financial reports appeared during an internal review. As head of corporate banking, I had personally ordered a full audit.
The timing could not have been more shocking.
"Excuse me for a moment," I said calmly before stepping away from the crowd to answer the call. My secretary whispered urgently. "The situation is worse than we expected. The audit uncovered serious financial irregularities. There's evidence of hidden debt, fake asset reports, and possible fraud."
I closed my eyes briefly.
"How serious?"
I asked quietly. "Very serious.
We found multiple shell companies connected to overseas accounts. The numbers don't match their public records."
"Send every document to me tonight," I replied.
"I'll review everything personally." When I returned to the garden, the atmosphere had completely changed.
Richard no longer looked powerful and confident.
His face had gone pale, and sweat covered his forehead as he barked orders into his phone. Helen stood beside him anxiously twisting her expensive pearl necklace, while guests slowly began leaving the party. Victoria walked toward me holding a glass of champagne, pretending to sound sympathetic. "Looks like Daddy's company is having some business troubles," she said smugly. "Though I doubt you'd understand complicated financial matters."
I smiled politely.
"No thank you,"
I replied when she offered me champagne.
"But I do have a question."
She blinked in surprise.
"What question?" "You work at your father's company, right?"
"Of course," she answered proudly.
"I'm Executive Vice President of Operations."
"Interesting," I said calmly.
"So you probably know quite a lot about the shell companies in the Cayman Islands." The color drained from her face immediately. Her champagne glass slipped from her hand and shattered against the marble floor.
I don't know what you're talking about, she whispered sharply.
The fake companies used to hide debt, I continued quietly. Or maybe the inflated property values your company reported to investors.
Victoria stared at me in complete shock.
Before she could answer, Richard suddenly raised his voice across the garden.
Everyone leave, he barked. Party's over.
Family emergency. Guests quickly grabbed their belongings and hurried away, pretending not to notice the tension. Richard pulled James aside with desperation in his eyes.
Son, I need your help, he said urgently. The banks are overreacting.
Your architecture firm has connections, doesn't it? James looked uncomfortable.
Dad, we're a small company.
We can't influence banks. Useless.
Richard exploded angrily. Just like your ridiculous marriage.
Ever since that girl entered this family, nothing has gone right.
That was enough. I stepped forward slowly, holding my phone in one hand.
Mr. Chen, I said calmly, I believe we have a meeting tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock.
Richard barely looked at me.
This has nothing to do with you, coffee girl. I opened my banking app and turned the screen toward him, displaying my executive profile and company credentials. Actually, I said softly, it has everything to do with me.
The garden fell completely silent.
I'm the CEO you'll be meeting tomorrow.
For several seconds, nobody spoke. Richard stared at me as if he had seen a ghost.
His expression shifted from confusion to disbelief, then finally to horror. Helen's pearl necklace slipped from her trembling fingers onto the floor.
Victoria looked so shocked she nearly lost her balance. That's impossible, Richard whispered. I met his eyes calmly.
My name is Emily Chen, I said.
CEO of corporate banking at Singapore United Bank.
Your company's loan applications landed on my desk last week, and the financial inconsistencies immediately raised concerns.
James looked at me speechless.
Emily, he whispered. You never told me.
I turned toward him gently.
I wanted someone to love me for who I truly am, I explained softly.
Not because of my title, money, or power. You gave me that. Your family never did.
For the first time all evening, Richard's businessman instincts returned. His posture straightened, and suddenly his tone became friendly.
Well, he said nervously, forcing a laugh, this changes everything. We're family after all.
Surely we can solve this situation together. Family,
I repeated quietly.
I stepped closer. Like when you called me a gold digger after my wedding.
Or when you mocked my job in front of your wealthy friends.
Or when you told James he married beneath his social class.
Richard's face tightened. Helen quickly stepped forward with fake warmth.
Darling, she said sweetly, we were only trying to protect our son.
Surely you understand.
Oh, I understand perfectly, I replied calmly. You judged me because you believed I was poor. You humiliated me because you thought I had no value.
Victoria desperately tried to recover.
Emily, come on, she laughed nervously.
We were only joking.
It was harmless fun.
I ignored her and turned to James.
Did you know your sister was involved in the company finances?
James looked confused. No.
She told me she only handled operations.
She's been helping your father hide debt and manipulate asset reports, I said firmly.
The audit uncovered years of financial deception.
Richard's face turned dark red with anger. You can't make accusations like that, he shouted.
I can, I replied calmly. And tomorrow morning, I will. The wind moved softly through the silent garden as nobody dared to speak.
I looked directly at Richard one final time.
Tomorrow's meeting is no longer about approving loans, I said quietly. It's about whether your company survives at all. It's no longer about loans, I said calmly, looking directly into Richard's frightened eyes. It's about a fraud investigation. The color disappeared from his face so quickly that even the remaining guests noticed.
His hands trembled slightly as he stepped toward me. You wouldn't dare, he whispered harshly.
We're family.
I let out a soft laugh, not out of humor but disbelief.
Family,
I repeated quietly. Let me tell you something my father taught me.
The taxi driver you mocked at my wedding spent his whole life teaching me what real family means.
The garden was completely silent now. He taught me that family stands beside you when life is hard.
Family supports you, believes in you, and loves you without caring about money or social status.
Your family did none of those things.
Richard looked away, unable to meet my eyes.
I gently took James's hand and prepared to leave.
The authorities will contact you tomorrow morning, I said calmly. I suggest you prepare your lawyers. As we walked toward the exit, Helen suddenly called after me, panic filling her voice.
Wait. What about Victoria? She cried.
She was only following her father's instructions. I stopped near the doorway and turned back slowly. Actions have consequences, I answered firmly.
Victoria made her own choices.
If she participated in fraud, she'll face the same investigation as everyone else.
Victoria's face turned pale with fear.
For once, she had no sarcastic comment, no cruel joke, and no confidence left. The drive home was painfully quiet. Rain tapped softly against the car windows while the city lights reflected across the wet streets of Singapore. James kept both hands on the steering wheel, staring ahead silently. Finally, after several minutes, he spoke.
Why didn't you tell me the truth about your job?
I looked out the window for a moment before answering. If you had known from the beginning, I asked softly, would you have treated me differently?
James thought carefully before shaking his head.
No, he admitted honestly. I fell in love with you, not your position.
A small smile appeared on my face.
That's exactly why I fell in love with you too.
I reached over and squeezed his hand gently.
I'm sorry for hiding it from you, I continued. But after meeting so many people who only cared about money and power, I needed to know our relationship was real.
James nodded slowly, finally understanding. What happens now? He asked quietly. I took a deep breath. Your father's company will be fully investigated.
With the evidence we found, there will probably be criminal charges. And Victoria? If she's involved, she'll be charged too.
James leaned back in his seat, exhausted. And us? He asked after a pause.
I looked at him teasingly for the first time that night. That depends, I said with a small smile. Can you handle being married to a woman who earns more money than your entire family combined?
For the first time all evening, James laughed. The tension between us finally broke. I think I'll survive, he joked.
But no more secrets.
No more secrets, I promised.
The next morning, the powerful Chen family empire officially began to collapse. At exactly 9 o'clock, Richard arrived at my office with 3 expensive lawyers beside him. Gone was the proud billionaire who once insulted me at dinner parties. The man walking into my office now looked tired, nervous, and defeated. For the first time in his life, Richard understood he was no longer the most powerful person in the room. I calmly slid a thick investigation file across my desk. Our audit uncovered systematic fraud over the last 5 years, I explained. False property valuations, hidden debt, offshore shell companies, manipulated financial reports. It's all documented here.
One of the lawyers quickly leaned forward.
We can explain the misunderstandings.
No, I interrupted firmly.
The evidence has already been sent to financial authorities.
Richard stared at me desperately.
Emily, he said quietly, please think carefully. This scandal will destroy our family name.
I leaned back calmly.
Did you think about my reputation when you called me a gold digger in front of your business partners?
Richard lowered his eyes in shame.
Before anyone could speak again, my secretary entered the office. She said carefully. The police are here.
The room became completely silent. What followed shocked the entire country.
News channels exploded with headlines about corruption and fraud inside Chen Developments. Cameras surrounded the company headquarters while reporters fought for interviews. Real estate tycoon arrested in major fraud case flashed across television screens across Singapore.
Richard was arrested that afternoon. Victoria was taken into custody shortly after.
She walked past reporters clutching her designer handbag tightly against her chest while cameras captured every second of her humiliation. Helen suffered a very public breakdown at her exclusive country club after the news spread online.
Through all of it, James stayed beside me.
Even though he was heartbroken watching his family fall apart, he never blamed me. They caused this themselves, he told me one evening while we watched the news together. You didn't destroy them. You only exposed the truth. As the weeks passed, investigators uncovered even more corruption than we originally expected. Richard had spent years inflating property values to secure enormous bank loans. The money was secretly transferred through fake companies overseas to hide losses and debt. Victoria had knowingly helped organize many of the transactions while pretending to be a legitimate executive. The evidence against them was overwhelming.
The trial moved quickly.
Richard was sentenced to 8 years in prison for fraud, financial manipulation, and corruption. Victoria received 5 years for assisting in the scheme. Helen avoided prison but lost almost everything through fines, lawsuits, and frozen assets. The luxury lifestyle she once worshipped disappeared overnight. Months later, during a cool autumn afternoon, Helen unexpectedly appeared at my office. At first, I barely recognized her. The elegant designer dresses and expensive jewelry were gone. She wore simple cotton clothes and looked older, quieter, and deeply tired. "I know I probably have no right to be here," she began nervously, "but I needed to say something." I silently motioned for her to sit down. Tears slowly filled her eyes. "I was wrong about you," she admitted softly. "Terribly wrong." For the first time since meeting her, I saw genuine honesty in her face. "We judged you because we believed money and status were everything," she continued. "Now I live alone in a tiny apartment and work as a sales clerk. Losing everything taught me something I should have understood years ago." I listened quietly. "Character matters more than wealth," she whispered. "You stayed kind even when we treated you horribly. You could have ruined us completely out of revenge, but instead you allowed the law to handle everything fairly." She wiped tears from her cheeks. "That's what real class looks like." I studied her silently for a long moment. "What do you want from me, Helen?" I finally asked. "A chance," she answered honestly. "Not forgiveness right away. I know I don't deserve that yet. I just want the chance to apologize to you and James, and maybe become a better person." 6 months later, we invited Helen to a small dinner at our apartment. She arrived carrying homemade dumplings she had learned to cook herself. She looked completely different from the cold woman I first met years earlier. She was humbler now, softer, more genuine. James was healing too. He regularly visited Richard and Victoria in prison, trying to rebuild broken relationships and understand years of toxic family behavior. As for me, I still worked weekends at the cafe. Not because I needed to hide anymore, but because it reminded me of who I truly was before money, titles, and power complicated everything. But because I genuinely loved the simple happiness it brought into people's lives. There was something special about handing someone a warm cup of coffee on a difficult morning. Sometimes a smile, a kind word, or even a small heart drawn in latte foam could brighten a person's entire day. No amount of money or business success could replace that feeling. One quiet morning, not long after the court case ended, a young woman walked into the cafe looking completely exhausted. Her eyes were red as if she had been crying, and her shoulders drooped with disappointment. I greeted her with a gentle smile and started preparing her drink. "Rough day?" I asked softly while drawing a small heart in the foam of her latte. She let out a tired sigh. "My boyfriend's parents think I'm not good enough for him," she admitted. "Wrong background, wrong job, wrong family." For a moment, I simply looked at her and smiled quietly, remembering how my own journey had started years earlier. I placed the coffee in front of her carefully. "Then let me tell you a story," I said warmly. "A story about pride, money, family, and what truly matters in the end." As she listened, I realized how much life had changed me. Life has a strange way of teaching its most important lessons. Sometimes people only understand what truly matters after they lose everything they once believed was important. Richard and Victoria learned that lesson inside prison walls. Helen learned it through humility, loneliness, and starting over from nothing. And I learned that being honest about who you are is worth more than wealth, status, or power. Today, James and I are preparing to welcome our first child into the world. We decided to name our daughter Grace. Not only because the name is beautiful, but because it reminds us that even during painful moments, people deserve kindness and mercy. Life is complicated, and nobody is perfect. Sometimes the hardest situations teach us the deepest compassion. Helen is excited about becoming a grandmother. She visits us often now, usually carrying homemade food and asking endless questions about the baby. Watching her change over the years has been one of the most unexpected parts of my journey. Even Richard has changed in his own way. From prison, he occasionally sends letters to James. They are no longer filled with business advice or pride. Instead, they are full of regret, reflection, and questions about the kind of legacy he truly wants to leave behind. The cafe where James and I first met is still standing, just as warm and welcoming as ever. Sometimes customers recognize me from business magazines or television interviews. "You're that banking CEO, right?" they ask in surprise. "Why do you still work here on weekends?" My answer is always simple. Because every cup of coffee is a chance to make someone's day a little better. Some people laugh. Others nod thoughtfully. But deep inside, I know it's the truth. Real success is not about power, revenge, luxury cars, or proving people wrong.
True success is staying kind even after being hurt.
It is choosing honesty when lying would be easier. It is remembering where you came from, no matter how high you rise. And most importantly, it is believing that people can change if they are willing to face the truth about themselves. As I write this, I'm sitting near the cafe window watching the sunrise paint Singapore's skyline in soft shades of gold and orange.
The city is slowly waking up.
Soon, the streets will fill with busy workers, students, tourists, and dreamers chasing another day of life. James will arrive soon, just like he does every weekend. Helen may stop by later with fresh dumplings and too much advice about parenting.
Life is not perfect, but it is real.
It is filled with lessons, second chances, forgiveness, and love earned through difficult moments. Sometimes, while reviewing billion-dollar financial reports during the week or making cappuccinos on quiet Sunday mornings, I still think about my father's words. Knowledge is the one thing nobody can take away from you.
He was right.
But over the years, I discovered something even more important. Integrity, compassion, humility, and the courage to stay true to yourself.
Those are things nobody can steal either.
Boys yours. Our gold stocks grow steadily, sire. حركوا الجمال. Our gold stocks grow steadily, sire. Lord? Leave him now! We stand ready.
Needed, sire.
We await orders.
Weapons needed, sire.
Instructions. Moving off.
Not enough gold.
We stand ready.
Needed, sire.
We salute you. This hour is heavy. Swordsman, attack! We stand ready.
الذي تريد اسحقوه.
My lord, run them through!
A message from the Norman. Troubles me to ask. We could use
We stand ready.
gold needed.
Weapons needed, sire.
Commander, sire. Eat steel.
إلى قلب الصحراء نسير.
I live to serve you. Forward! For valor!
A message from Saladin.
My forces have struck another blow against you. This is but the beginning of the end for you, my friend.
Yes? We are on our way. Archers, ready!
Greatest Lord.
We are under attack. Come on, this is too easy.
enough gold.
We stand ready.
Weapons needed, sire.
Commander, sire. For valor! I live to serve you.
A message from Emperor Frederick.
The siege is lost, but the war is far from over.
We salute you. We stand ready.
Who is yours?
نحن صفوة النخبة. سننتقل للأول. نشد الرحال إلى المعركة.
My lord, run them!
Emperor Frederick.
We move from strength to strength.
Eat steel!
Assassins are scaling the wall, sire.
Your command? This is too easy.
Can't place that there, my lord.
We stand ready.
Gold needed.
Weapons needed, sire.
We salute you. Swordsman, attack!
A message from Saladin.
My forces have struck another blow against you. This is but the beginning of the end for you, my friend.
We stand ready. To glory!
too transparent, my friend.
I live to serve you. This is too easy.
Buildings are on fire, sire. Recruits needed, sire. Sire. Recruits needed, sire. Buildings are on fire, sire. Recruits needed, sire. Recruits needed, sire. Recruits needed, sire. Our treasury is empty. Buildings are on fire, sire.
Where's your castle?
Recruits needed, sire. Recruits needed, sire. Recruits needed, sire. Instructions.
Swordsman, attack!
A message from Saladin.
My forces have struck another blow against you. This is but the beginning of the end for you, my friend.
We salute you. Run them through!
Recruits needed, sire. Buildings are on recruits needed, sire. Recruits needed, sire. Is empty, sire. Recruits needed, sire.
Where's your castle?
Needed, sire.
Von strength to strength. Today we fight. Today we will win.
We stand ready. Needed, sire. Recruits needed, sire.
from Saladin.
My forces have struck another blow against you. This is but the beginning of the end for you, my friend.
People are leaving the castle. Buildings are on fire, sire.
A message from the Nomad. The clubbers have got us. I could use some help.
Yes?
Swordsman! Attack!
Archers, ready!
Buildings are on fire. My war is yours.
عبر الرمال الصحراء الحارة تنتظر.
Your command? A message from Emperor Prevu. He moved from space to space.
My lord? Buildings are on fire, sire. People are coming to the castle. Buildings are on fire, sire.
More wood is needed.
Buildings are on fire, sire.
A message from Saladin.
My forces have struck another blow against you. This is but the beginning of the end for you, my friend.
Recruits needed, sire. Recruits needed, sire. Recruits needed, sire.
أنا في خدمتك. سمعا وطاعة.
Recruits needed, sire. Recruits needed, sire. Recruits needed, sire. Buildings are on fire. ready, sire. People are leaving the castle.
A message from the Norman. They have fallen. I rid the sand of these jackals.
People are coming to the castle. Buildings are on fire, sire.
Message from the Remove constraints.
No change in the building lord. Buildings are on fire. Recruits needed, sire. Recruits needed, sire. Recruits needed, sire. My boys lost. Ready. Recruits needed, sire. Recruits needed, sire. Recruits needed, sire. Recruits needed, sire.
مهمة.
Not enough workers available to run this building. Buildings are on fire, sire. Milord, people are leaving the castle.
It's a rout.
A message from Saladin.
My forces have struck another blow against you. This is but the beginning of the end for you, my friend.
Nuts! Arrows! We are now with. Finden targets! People are coming to the castle. Buildings are on fire, sire. Buildings are on fire, sire.
Where's your castle?
The Lord is under attack.
A message from Saladin.
By all that's holy, you fight well. Too well, I fear.
Recruits needed, sire. Recruits needed, sire.
اسحقوا عظامه. نعم.
Our treasury is empty.
اسحقوا.
Our treasury is empty. Recruits needed, sire. Recruits needed, sire. Recruits needed, sire.
ما الذي تريده؟
A message from Emperor Frederick. Remove from strength to strength.
None may stand in the shadow of the Vizier. Certainly not you, anyway.
You have been defeated.
Retire, my lord?